Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the real estate entrepreneur, Omar Alfaro. How you doing, buddy?
Good. What's happening, everybody? What's up, Michael?
Hey, man, one of the things I want to talk about, I don't think we've hit in quite a while with any of my experts, is when you get into a deal, that's not the time to figure out what you're going to do with it, right? You've got to know the exit. I want to know the exit when I write an offer, but when you were, when do you kind of know what your exit is going to be for that asset?
You know, it's crazy because we talk about this a lot. And does it change after you buy it? At times it does. But for the most part, when you're making the offer on a property, you should know the exit if you're going to keep it, right? So you have your financing in order. If you're going to wholesale it because you have no capital and you want to get rid of the paper and make something on it, or you're going to buy it and then you have a crew to flip it, you know, to fix and rehab it, increase the value, and then hopefully get a profit at the end, which I'm assuming most of us have got profits the last 18 months. But it's so crucial to know this because if you don't, there's this thing called cash flow. And if you don't know how much money is going to be exiting your bank account on a monthly basis when you're holding multiple properties, you got to pick, I'm going to keep one, flip four, keep one, flip two, because you have to have the cash flow to sustain the next month if you don't have another source of income. You yourself had a source of income, but you still pushed it all in. Like myself. But this is why it's so important to know where you're at financially when you go and get this contract signed, because how else are you going to be able to scale and get to the next month if you don't? Every single deal that I've purchased, I knew from the beginning if I'm flipping it or if I'm keeping it, or if I'm going to fix it up and burr it out, providing it makes sense. And for everybody to know, you want to be all in at 70% or less. Okay, of the ARV, 70% or less. Why? Because then when you refinance your ARV, and then your 70% of that number is your all-in price, then you have a free house. Then it makes sense to do that burr. But if it doesn't, flip the house, keep the capital. So the main message is know your exit, man. I mean, you need to tell me too, because you know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, when again, I get very nervous when I talk to investors that write offers and they don't know the plan. Oh, I'll figure it out after I close. Too late. Because after you close, you've already locked in your deal structure, your financing structure, right? If you got short-term debt, but it's long-term hold, problem, right? You got to refi closing costs twice, refi, money twice. If you're going to do a burr, but the numbers are wrong at the purchase, you're going to have money, worst case, left in the deal, right? Do you have the check or the wherewithal to cut that to pay off your private or hard money? If you're going to hold it long-term or you're going to Airbnb it, like today, the big thing is Airbnb, right? I see so many people rushing to Airbnb, but I'm like, I just want you to run the numbers. What's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is it's going to become a furnished month-to-month rental. What do those numbers look like? And too many of you are buying alligators. My fear is there are so many people running to Airbnb that the market will become saturated. You all are down selecting quality, and you're going to see less than ideal results. And then you're going to default to monthly lease, and then you're going to be carrying an alligator. And if you remember anything from my book, One Rental at a Time, you're not supposed to, bad idea, right? Norris Drive. And then another thought I had is I just interviewed the best investor in Fresno County, where I invest. And he just locked up a deal in Pebble Beach, 17-mile drive. And his intention was to flip it and make about $1 million. That was his intention.
Wow. Okay.
$1 million. However, just after he did clean up and they had just started doing all the approvals, like he owned it 2 months at this point. He had a neighbor or somebody come up to him basically saying, hey, we want to buy it, knock it down and build a McMansion, right? And he basically said, hey, if you can give me my profit now, we'll just stop. So they worked it out, bingo, bango. He made 800 grand without doing a flip, right? So his exit was going to be a flip, but for him, it was the $1 million. So in that case, he took 800 quick versus $1 million risk, right? Because
All day.
it would have been a year or 18 months until he completed the flip, given how slow Carmel, which is where 17-mile drive is. So, sometimes it can change. But yeah, you've got to know the exit. I want to know the exit. I tell myself, I tell my students, I tell anybody to listen. I want you to have your exit when you write the offer. Is it a flip? Is it a wholesale? Is it long-term hold? You can fine tune it. You can change after inspections. You could change after financing, but don't write that offer if you don't know what you're going to do with it, is kind of my advice.
100%. Spot on. I mean, it's just, we talk about this all the time because it's so crucial. And I'll keep talking about it because this is what I want everybody to know. When you make that offer, you already know what your exit's going to be.
Yeah.
Like Michael just said, like you just said, Michael, you can fine tune it after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like, well, I'll see what happens. No, like you have to have a direct, destination direction of what you're going to be doing with that asset.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. And again, as the entrepreneur, I thought that was great advice you have. A lot of you need to be thinking, wholesale 2, keep 1, flip 2, keep 1, right? You build wealth by holding assets. If you haven't learned that over the last decade or so, we weren't paying attention. Wealth comes from ownership of assets. Income, potentially high income, comes from flips and wholesales. Do yourself a favor, folks. Keep 1 every once in a while. Write it down, 1 and 4, 1 and 2, whatever's comfortable for you, but do yourself a favor, keep some.
100%. And guys, I want to clear this up too. If you guys want to keep it all, because there's going to be a flow here where you're going to try to keep as many properties as possible, right? Because you're listening to us, keep, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to remember, you can't keep them all.
No,
because you will, honestly, I pushed myself, and I'm sure you did too, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm keeping a bunch, right? All last year, we kept a bunch this year. But guess what? Now I'm having a little bit of cash flow problems because we have so many.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now my initial buy and hold have turned into a flip, but the flip will be a 1031 exchange.
There you go.
To another 5 or 6 unit, right? Because and then the one more hack, since you're the owner, you can create a invoice from another company to pay you from those proceeds, 20,000, 25,000. So then you can recoup some cash, not all of it, but at least a little bit of it. So just something for you guys to digest on.
Yeah. So again, folks, you've got to know the exit going in. You certainly could change, i.e. if you're going to do a flip, somebody wants to give you all the profit right now, don't be silly. Take quick money, right? Take the 800 versus wait for the million, because you never know, that million could have gone backwards very quickly. Again, if you're an entrepreneur, flip 2, keep 1, flip 4, keep 1, whatever makes sense. Do yourself a favor though. Of all the people I've interviewed over the last couple of years, all of them have said, I wish I kept a few of those. Because again, time in the market's better than timing the market. So Omar, somebody wanted to join your team. How'd you like them to do that?
DM me, guys. Omar_Alfaro. Go to my website, omaralfaro.com, and click that button that says join the team.
There you go. Thanks, buddy.